we're going to bring up a panel discussion which is going to explore deeper the concepts of the cloud and how our customers and the platform are leveraging the cloud to bring true disruption to marketplaces. So to moderate this discussion, I want to bring up the hardest working man in the tech industry, Jim Brown, who's the CEO of Tech Clarity. Jim has over 25 years of experience in the tech industry, and so I'm going to bring Jim up, and he's going to moderate the next panel. So Jim, thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
stage.
All right, so I arranged some clouds for the weather outside to make sure, first of all, that you all weren't going to be sitting on the beach and that you'd be in here listening to me talk about the cloud. Cloud is obviously something that's incredibly important going on in the world today. It touches all of our lives. You know, our photos are on the cloud. A lot of what's happening in our lives is happening in the cloud. But from a business perspective, we're also starting to see a tremendous impact on the things that we're doing. And some of the impact that our research shows is that people are very excited about changing the sort of infrastructure and the dynamic behind technology, reducing the need for having IT resources in-house, for example, because the IT resources can be redeployed to do more innovative and higher level thinking kinds of jobs than maybe they were doing, reducing some cost. But we're also seeing the cloud being a real way that companies are redefining the way they're doing business. They're able to reach out and do things fundamentally differently in the cloud than they could have done with systems inside their firewall. So it's an exciting time. A lot of our research shows that as people are moving to the cloud, things like CRM, customer relationship management, email, a lot of things like file sharing may have moved to the clouds much sooner than some of the other things that are happening, like our product innovation platform, our PLM solutions. They definitely have followed a slower pace, a more cautious pace. But we're starting to see a bit of a groundswell in that. And what I'm going to do today, I'll share a little bit of our research and what we've done at Tech Clarity. But more importantly, what I'm going to do with this panel is we've got 3 people that have taken their companies through a transition to the cloud and have done that using the 3D Experience platform. So hopefully that's a very relevant example, and you can learn from them, as many of you are probably thinking about doing the same thing. So what I'd like to do is introduce our panelists. We have Kavi Perpulli, who's here from Rockwell Collins, Javier Glatt from CadMakers, and Jeff Walters from Globe Trailers. So if I can get them to come up. Welcome, team. Over here. Good job. Nice.
All right. Big chairs.
What we're going to do today, as I said, is everybody up on stage has gone through the transition or going through the transition of moving to the cloud with their PLM solutions and engineering software. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about what you guys have experienced. So maybe just to start, if everybody could just introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their business and their, in your design environment, just so everybody can understand what your business is.
I work for Rockwell Collins, and we are basically into aviation products, and we build the aviation products for both commercial and military customers around the world. Some of the products that we build are the cockpit and the flight deck instrumentation, and all the cabin equipment like seating, galleys, oxygen systems, lighting, so on and so forth. So that's what we do.
Great. So CadMakers is, we started the company about 3.5 years ago. A friend of mine, Nick, we met in business school. The way we describe ourselves, I know I should probably be able to describe in one sentence, but we're a little bit of a confusing company. We do a lot of stuff. But we're a tech company that we do services and kind of solutions in construction and manufacturing spaces. Heavy in construction, the automation of construction, kind of optimize workflows, a lot of stuff with robots and trying to think away of how things will be built in the future. So yeah, team of engineers and software developers kind of working shoulder to shoulder to solve problems for our customers.
I'm Jeff Walters with Globe Trailers. We manufacture heavy equipment trailers for the commercial industry and also the government. We try to make the best trailer at a fair price.
Good. So let's go ahead and turn to the cloud. As I mentioned before, people are moving to the cloud for a number of different reasons. So, it could be anything from, not having the right resources. All of our resources are tied up on an SAP upgrade, or it could be we've got a global distribution of our business, and we've got people that need to enable multiple devices. In fact, in some of our recent research by my colleague Michelle Boucher, what she saw is that actually one of the leading drivers was being able to have access from any device anywhere to information. Which we know is hard sometimes behind the firewall, right? So for each of you, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your environment. Are you using other solutions on the cloud? But then why is it important for your business to move to cloud? Why did you make the cloud decision for PLM?
Yeah. So before I answer that question, the approach we are taking at Rockwell Collins is why not cloud? Before we start any initiative, we are asking why not cloud? Cloud brings all the advantages that we all keep hearing about, right? Like high availability, you have the better DR capabilities, so on and so forth. But when it comes to PLM, there are three particular things that are driving our initiative that we are currently working on. We are not all the way done yet with the program. We are getting close. We are a couple of months away from going live. The three primary drivers are, first and foremost, we are trying to be current on our supportability of the version we are using on. That's the first and foremost. And the second and the most important driver, considering that we are in the aerospace and defense business, the DFARS requirements. The DFARS stands for Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement. So that's a mouthful of words. But basically what this means is over the next few years, all the aerospace and defense companies have to comply with some guidelines relating to security controls. That's the second one. So what cloud brings is some of these controls that DFARS mandates are already built into the cloud offerings, particularly with the Go Cloud. For example, if you take Amazon or Microsoft, they have commercial clouds and Go Cloud. These government clouds have additional controls built in. That is what is appealing to us, because if we have to make each application DFARS compliant, that is extremely cost prohibitive and also time consuming. Rather than we attacking each application one at a time, we are trying to leverage already built-in capabilities with the Go Cloud. And the third and the most important requirement that internal to our PLM program is we implemented the PLM Foundation in '99. So when we implemented, we had significant out-of-the-box content, and over the first 10 years, we have customized quite a bit of the functionality. So when we upgraded the system, we gotten rid of the customizations by about 25%, and now we are trying to target another 25 to 30% as part of the current implementation. So those are some of the drivers. What is primarily the PLM initiative we have right now.
Thank you, Kavi. Javier, tell us a little bit about your cloud solution and what was the driver?
Sure. I guess contextually, I can come at a smaller kind of startup type of approach versus a big company, but I guess I'll answer in two ways: tactical and then strategic. Tactical is like when you start a bootstrap a startup, we want to spend every minute of every day with your hair on fire, finding a customer, serving customer, learn, get better, find another one, learn, get better. We don't want to be spending time doing IT stuff when you barely have enough resources to feed yourself. So there's a tactical side of it. Like, can you find ways to, I mean, in our personal lives, every single person here is touched by the cloud. This is where the world is today. Why can't we do our work that way too, specifically even in an engineering capacity? So there's kind of a tactical side of things. So the strategic is we want to play as a business where the world's going, not where the world was. And I think that, you know, on-premise, there's good reasons for a lot of people in this room to be on-premise, don't get me wrong, but, you know, I think my personal opinion is, you know, we're at the very bottom of this pendulum still with regards to cloud and stream. And, you know, still got a long way to go. And you know, the world will go cloud, or the world will go stream for everything pretty much, especially as encryption technologies keep getting better. And you know, there's always going to be that data, you know, governance discussion. But I think that it's already fading a little bit, even, you know, hearing aerospace companies talking about it. So for us, we want to be on where the world goes, and we want to be the best in that area. So for cloud, it's strategic to us. You know, even development cycles, you're building tools, you know, writing code in C# and WebGL and these types of higher level coding programs, you're just way faster. You can iterate quicker, and you can build solutions much faster than what you used to have to do, say, an on-prem or C++ type environment. It's difficult to scale that. So, you know, those are the two main reasons why we go cloud.
Good. Yeah, and it's interesting if you look back 3 or 4, 5 years ago, whenever anybody, you know, brought up security or performance in cloud, it was always a concern. This is what we're worried about. And more as I'm talking to companies and I'm asking them, why are you moving to the cloud? They're saying things like, well, we want performance and we want security, therefore we want the cloud, because they feel like a third-party provider can do it better than they can. So it's been an interesting transition. Jeff, can you give me a little idea of sort of your decision to move to the cloud?
We're very similar to your decision. We looked at IT as not value add to the customer, so we were able to eliminate that whole department. We were on version 6. Our implementation was not good. That's why we transitioned early to the cloud. Our implementation was so bad that we didn't mind being the early adopter. So the cloud's been you know, very, very good for the IT department.
Yeah, very good, very good. One of the things that, as we were talking as a panel, we thought, you know, if we were sitting in your shoes, and you know, Kavi brought this up, if we were sitting in your shoes, we'd probably want to know how the software is deployed in the cloud. And one of the things that we've seen from some vendors versus others is some vendors are very prescriptive. You know, if you're going to use this solution, it is a cloud solution. It's going to be in a software as a service subscription model. That's your only choice. Others are only on premise. Some may be sort of a middle ground as infrastructure as a service or as a managed service, where they're doing more backup and backup security things for you. And one of the things that I think is interesting about what Dassault Systèmes is doing is it is the capable solution, but with multiple deployment options. So maybe each of you can talk a little bit about how the software is actually deployed, what model of cloud you're using.
Yeah. So we started the cloud journey probably 5 years ago. We have been using software as service for many applications. I'm sure the audience here are familiar with, as an example, Concur for travel and expense reporting purposes. We have been using it for 5, 6 years as software as service. When it comes to business critical applications for our supply chain, a couple of years ago, we started using Ariba. And just a few weeks ago, we enabled SuccessFactors for our HR and human capital management processes. So we have been using cloud. Cloud is not new to us. But what's new to us is migrating the crown jewels, are very complex applications like PLM, onto cloud as infrastructure as a service. That is the new journey we started recently in the last 18 months. And the PLM is certainly the most complex application we have taken up. And as I mentioned earlier, we are a few months away from bringing it live. So that's the approach we are taking.
So we started on 14x on cloud. We decided to do something that could have been fatal, but it worked out okay. We went on one of our biggest, most complicated projects early on. We just decided with Dassault and others to just do it on the cloud from soup to nuts, a big mass timber building. And it forced us, to really dive in. And, we pinned our ears back and we went for it. And now we're, the thing about, we do a lot of work in the AEC or construction industry. It's a very unique business industry, right? You have tons of collaboration required by multiple, you might have 15, 20 different stakeholders in every project. Projects move very quickly. The design development might take a couple months, and then you gotta spit out stuff fast. So for us, we use 17x now, and we'll go to 18x when it goes up. We'll just move everything there. There's each hotfix, there's new tools coming. We're trying to avoid a situation, in our case, everyone's different, but we don't want to get stuck on a certain version where you maybe have a functionality that's coming that now you can't take advantage of. So it's nice for us that we started using the VR applications a ton for like the final prefab, like design review VR. It just came with last hotfix. Now you got teleport mode. It's just there now, right? It's just upgrading as we go. It's just getting better as we go. And in general, that's been really good for us. Just to be on 17x and roll up with it.
Yeah. Good. Jeff?
We pretty much move all of our things to the cloud. Email, we're on G Suites, Adobe, Creative Cloud. It just makes sense for us. Again, to eliminate the IT, it just doesn't add value to our customer. And the same thing, it's cool. We get all the newest things first. We see it on YouTube. We can then go to our cloud environment and fire it up. So it's definitely exciting.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. One of the things that we're looking at, and we've got an active survey right now on the cloud and moving product innovation through manufacturing into the cloud. And one of the questions that we have on there is always one that I think is really fascinating is, how much functionality would you be willing to give up in order to move to the cloud? And so the real question that I'm going to put to the panel is, what comes first? Is it the deployment model? I want to have a cloud solution, and that's a requirement, and then I look for something that's going to be capable enough to do the job? Or is it about finding the solution that really supports your business and your processes well, and then figuring out the right deployment model? So kind of it's chicken and egg thing, which comes first? Is it the capabilities that you're looking for in the software that you guys get from the 3D, the 3D experience platform, or was it cloud as your primary requirement?
For us, it's a very easy decision. We can't compromise on the capabilities or the functionality that we can offer to the business. User experience is something that we consider as paramount. That's got to be front and center. With that said, we also need to take into consideration other things, right? The whole cloud model flips the equation. In the on-prem versions, you have a high degree of CapEx that you need to deal with. When it comes to cloud, you are switching the equation from CapEx to OpEx. So what's the appetite? How you want to address your capital or financial constraints that you want to deal with. Those are some of the secondary considerations, but the first and foremost is the capabilities and functionality. The other advantage is what's the reach that you want to bring in. If you want to have a global reach, suddenly cloud brings a lot more flexibility relative to what you have when you have on-prem applications and some of the performance challenges we are all intimately familiar with.
Yeah, good. Javier?
I don't know the exact answer, but for us, if I look at the business in terms of what's the most important to us, I'd say speed. So speed is everything, and you could look at speed differently. So if we have less functionality on a cloud solution versus on-prem, where maybe you can do some more customization, but net, we're faster. The faster way we can solve problems for our customers, faster we can iterate for ourselves. I think for us, the business case is the infrastructure. The cloud infrastructure is more important to us than losing some functionality. And plus, we have very creative people, so generally we'll find a way to do things, if we can hack around a little bit in the short term. And that's where the relationship with Dassault Systèmes is great too. They're listening. When we say, hey, we miss these things in the cloud currently that we used to do V5 or that are on-prem, when's it coming? You know, can we get this on the roadmap? Can we work with R&D to start saying, hey, these functions are no longer here, and there's different reasons for it, but you know, we communicate back so that in future releases, future hot fixes, they can come. So it's one of those things. How much customization do you want to do? How much out of the box? Of course, we think as much out of the box is great, and then light top level customization is the way to go. Right. But I mean, different businesses have different use cases. But for us, the speed is really what drives everything for us.
Good. Jeff, how about you in terms of cloud versus capability?
Well, as everybody knows, we did give up a lot of functionality, but we knew that going into it. You know, all of us, you know, at Globe Trailers, we like the new things. We like building, you know, we like different things also. We like building servers. We like, you know, configuring software. We like making sure we have the best. But that's just a distraction. So moving to the cloud got rid of a lot of distraction for us. Let someone else take care of it, and focus on, you know, what we're good at. And also, the other reason, we do have a global team. You know, I looked at the GE Bracket Challenge when it came out and saw they had a huge, diverse group of people that submitted, you know, crowdsourced that design. And I thought, you know, we're never going to have a huge engineering group, but we do want to put innovation into our product. So having it on the cloud, we can spool up, you know, engineers in Egypt, India, you know, anywhere, anytime. It's just like they're working at our facility.
Good. So let's talk a little bit about benefits. And I mentioned earlier, and I think people have started to sort of bring this in along the way. There are definitely benefits ranging from, you know, what I would say are IT-oriented benefits, and then there are business benefits, and then there are actually some benefits that are just uniquenesses of the cloud that really just aren't available when you're working in an on-premise kind of an environment. You know, the IT-related benefits can be, you know, based on cost or resources. Not having to have servers, not having to, you know, put in the hot patches yourself, not have to do your own backups, and there's a lot of value operationally for those things. But there's also strategic value, being able to have those new capabilities sooner, being able to bring in suppliers, bring in partners, you know, design partners, you know, much more readily on the cloud. So there's a lot of strategic things that can be done differently. And then there's also some really unique things that just, you know, you can only do with the elastic and sort of infinite computing on the cloud. And some of those things have to do with more, you know, hardcore engineering things along the lines of, you know, generative design or doing some simulations, you know, where you just have huge amounts of resource. But there's this myriad of potential benefits that come from the cloud. What are the things that you found that are the most valuable to your company in terms of cloud value?
Yeah. So the first and foremost is the hardware cycle times. You know, virtually it's hours or a few days versus an on-prem scenarios. You have to deal with several weeks or months in some cases to procure the hardware. That's certainly a biggest advantage from the agility and speed standpoint that Harvey was talking about. And of course, the biggest the advantage in case of complex applications like PLM is we don't need to worry about this annual disaster recovery ritual we have to go through. That's built in, and you know, we can do it anytime, and you know, we have simulated that as part of our business simulation without any difficulties. That's the biggest advantage. The third one is the scalability. The elasticity part that, Jim, you were talking about, that's built in. We don't need to worry about when to add the additional capacity to your servers or storage. Those are all built in, and the system takes care of it. So those are some of the big advantages that we are seeing. When it comes to functionality, that's not so much about whether it's cloud or on-prem. That's something we have been partnering with Dassault based on the roadmaps that they have been sharing with us, and some of our needs that we have. So we have a good team that's supporting our needs. So certainly those are some of the things that's helping us over the years.
Yeah, and actually, it's interesting. You mentioned scalability. One of the things, particularly in project-oriented businesses, program-oriented businesses like aerospace, we see the scalability up is very important, but also scalability down. Being able to go from a very large program with lots of resources on it, and there's a lull in the business, or we're in between programs, and being able to scale that back and not have a whole bunch of hardware sitting around that you're not using, right? So it's interesting to see that the scalability thing is bidirectional. Javier?
Yeah, so 2017 millennial culture, like the fickle world of software consumers in today's day and age. Like people want what they want right now. They just want it to work.
Right.
Just work, and it should work like Snapchat works or something simple, even though it's very complicated behind the scenes.
You get streaks.
Yeah, exactly. But so I guess I'll answer the question in terms of benefits. First of all, in AEC, and we do a lot of work in construction. AEC, cloud is not like a benefit. It's basically you have to do this, and people are struggling. Like the workflow stuff that's out there, Flux and different softwares there's a whole world, a whole market have been created just to solve this interoperability and collaboration problem, and because most are file-based workflows with maybe a Vault or some sort of centralized data center, but it's all file-based, and it's hard to keep track of at the scale of AEC. So cloud is like a precursor. It has to be cloud, and that will win. The cloud solution for collaborative, data-driven, that's going to win. And it's still early days, but I think 3D Experience is very well positioned for that. And then for us, benefits are, I was in New York City yesterday. I got off the plane. I brought my laptop. I went to a presentation. I thought it was going one way. All of a sudden, they started talking about other stuff. We do a lot of things. So I just quickly we got a Wi-Fi connection, bam, bam, bam. No VPN, no nothing. I just loaded data pretty quickly, large, huge mass assemblies that I was just able to spin around in real time. They're like, you just loaded that right now? Yeah. So, there's that kind of flexibility to be able to, as long as you can connect to a Wi-Fi site, you can get your data. And then, there's kind of the business side of things. As we scale up people, it's similar to buying Office 365 cloud licenses. You just got to buy a user, and boom, you're off to the running. Right. Same kind of idea from an engineering perspective for Katia, Delmi, or whatever you're using. You just get another user. Let's go. You want to go quarterly? You want to go yearly? There's a lot more flexibility. Okay. So if we have an intern comes in for 6 months, you don't necessarily want to do a PLC type situation for that. And and it's material to a business of our size. These decisions can drive like the total margin of your whole business. Yeah. So there's tons of benefits. I could go on and on, but those are some major benefits for us for the cloud.
Good. Jeff?
Yeah, big benefits for us. A lot of them were covered, but we look at it like from a file standpoint. I hired an engineer. He wasn't the best with managing his files. I load up one of our trailers and it's gone. And I said, "What did you do?" And he has no rhyme or reason. It just disappeared for him. It happened again. It happened again. With the cloud, you go on there. The files are there. They have a backup plan. You can email them, get your files back. The database, you have your file, you have your drawing, you have your FEA. Everything is in the tree. I mean, that's just unbelievable. We have the audit. Let's say I'm going to audit you today, and no warning. I said, okay, sit here. I pull it up. Show me your drawing. Show me your this. Show me your that. And we pull it up immediately. It's always there. You can trust it. That's so important. It makes us look like heroes, and we're not that organized. So,
all right, you heard it here first. You can be heroes. We've got a couple of minutes left. One of the things I'd say to the audience is that these people and these companies up here have gone first. PLM maturity in the cloud is behind some of the other areas, and it's starting to ramp up. And these companies have really spent some good time working hand in glove with Dassault Systèmes to really pave the way for others. So given that you've done that, and just a little short time that we have left, what would you suggest to others based on your experience?
Yeah, the first and foremost, all clouds are not equal. So depending upon what your needs are, the complexity is different. Understand the complexity early on, whether you are doing the software as service, infrastructure as service, or platform as service, different degrees of complexity comes in. Especially if you are talking in the context of PLM, the integrations are so different. As an example, if you are connecting SAP to PLM, on-prem it's a direct connection. But when you are talking in terms of AWS Cloud, you have to go through some security layers like layer 7, or if you are connecting some of the other web applications, WAF controls or whatever. So those are all different. Understand the complexity. And the second and most important thing is have a good alignment with your partners, internal and also the Dassault partners. We are very fortunate to have the kind of team we have in Sean, Nigel, and so on and so forth. So that's very, very critical. They were very upfront and candid with us early on. Hey, we have limited experience, but we are willing to partner with you, and we are willing to go with you together on this journey. So those are very, very critical that you secure early on, so that there are no disconnects later on.
Javier?
That's great tactical. I'll just be simple. Like, spend your time and money making better products and better solutions and services, not on infrastructure. And it sounds bad. IT adds value internally. We have a great IT person, but if you can take, what is that cost that you're spending on just managing your own data in an on-premise environment or whatever, or multiple configurations of on-premise? Spend that money elsewhere. Spend that creating better innovations. Invest in R&D. You're gonna get better. For us, I'd rather spend that dollar on R&D 99 times out of 100 than adding more IT governance, for example. Because I think there may be some stumbles at times, but net, I'm going to be much faster spending that money on building a better and more innovative solution for a customer or a problem that you're solving in the market. So to me, it's like cloud is everywhere. On your phone, you pay your credit card, it's using cloud. Everything's in cloud. So why wouldn't we build our businesses with the same kind of approach?
And
Jeff, any advice?
As I said, the forum came at a very good time where the cloud, the 3D Experience Cloud, has finally matured enough for a small, medium-sized business where it is time to jump on board. When you have that next refresh, it is stable, it's good. We're very, very happy with it.
Good. Well, listen, first of all, I just want to thank all of you for taking the time to pave the path for everybody else, and also for sharing your experience today. So I want to thank you very much. Before we walk off, though, if we can bring up this slide. What I'd like to do is ask all of your help. We are running a survey right now on cloud in PLM and manufacturing software. We tried to make a very simple URL, so maybe take a picture of it so you've got it. And it's going to take about 10 minutes, but we'll send you a copy of the report, and there may be an incentive to do it as well. And it is being sponsored by Dassault Systèmes. So anyway, thank you all very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Javier. Thank you, Jeff. Good job.